Welcome back. Thanks everyone for tuning in again. This is episode number 10, and the title of this show is The CIA, LSD, and Charles Manson. And I have been deep down this rabbit hole. There's this incredible new book by Tom O'Neill published in 2019 called Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the 60s. And it has absolutely blown my mind. So I have two incredibly special friends that I wanted to have this conversation with. And I'm going to ask each one of you guys to introduce yourselves. So I'm going to start with guest number one.
Hey, I'm Jay with SPK, new entertainment company in Martinsburg. Booking all kinds of bands, letting everybody know here and now that give me a call, reach out, find me on the book. Just getting on Instagram. We got all kinds of playbills going. I'm all over town. I've got 3 venues now. I'm working on 5 by the end of the month. Stacking playbills and just giving everybody something to go out and see in Berkeley County. So you're the monotony. Try to slow down the monotony of winter coming and everything else. I'm also in Whatevs, Curb Stomp. Got a new project coming for 25 called The Outlawyers. We're going to do country and drinking covers specifically. Nice. Yeah, nice. Working on that. It's going to be coming this year. So a lot of things are in the works, man. Bright future. Happy to be here.
You and I, we met, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago.
I think so, about Habits. I was introduced by Joe Poist.
Yeah, Joe.
You two.
I worked with his cousin that had played in Numchuck Bastards, a guy named Joey Courtney. You want to introduce yourself, guest number 2?
Yeah, I'm Darrick, sort of Michael Maverick in the Chaos Effect, avid mechanic, lover of the Mopar, old school Mopar, not that new school crap, the EV Charger. Yeah, it's a piece of junk. And the 3-liter Hurricanes are junk too, but that's not for this conversation.
Darrick, you and I met because Michael and Dakota Guyver had been on the early episodes. I think they were on episode 1 and 2. They were great guests, very entertaining. I enjoy Michael Maverick a lot. And you and I had a great conversation at Bad Habits that night. Yeah. And so since then, I've definitely wanted to have you on the show because I could tell we were very like-minded. So let's go back to Jay. Nick, go ahead. Let's pull up our first graphic, and let's talk about the show that you have coming up Friday the 13th.
Yeah, this is a big one. I got Brandon Starr coming down from Pennsylvania. We called in Paperback Tragedy from Baltimore, and I got some local guys, Magnum Jack. I'm sure people have heard their name around Berkeley County. And then Sean of Magnum Jack and Two Screws Loose. He's going solo with C. Ray. He's going to open up the night. We got a costume contest over at Tilty's on Moeller. If you haven't been there, it's awesome. It's a barcade. They like to call it a pinball bar. I consider, a barcade more classier, but we're going to get to that on the next flyer. So this come out this morning. We've been lining this up for about a week. This is one of many to come through SPK. I'm just trying to do things differently. People are doing it out here, and they're doing it pretty well. I'm going to do it even better. So get excited to work with me because I'm out here doing big things.
I really loved the graphics on this one, too. I thought it was a lot of fun. Who did your graphics for that?
You know who we can blame?
Who's that?
Yeah, a guy in Shepherdstown who does all my work.
You're kidding.
Right now. Yeah, oh
no
yeah.
Fucking way.
Yeah, you know the guy.
Are we talking Jared?
Yeah.
Is that Jared? Is that fucking
you
Jared?
You already know what it is.
And of course, for everyone following the show, Jared is Ramirez Unraveled.
Oh yeah.
I used some of he pranks me with these Photoshops.
He's good
so
like that.
I used them in a couple. Let's take a look at our next graphic. This is also a graphic for Jay.
Oh yeah.
This is Serpent Brotherhood.
Yeah, these guys are great, man. They're real communal. They're out on Aviation Drive over at our airport in Martinsburg on the south end of town. Really good group of people. Always doing something for the community. This night right here is a birthday bash for somebody, but it's also we're doing a couple. We got 2 shows lined up. I have here January 25th as well, and then April 12th is for men's mental health. So we're going to do a festival show in April with about 8 or 10 bands, and the proceeds will benefit probably Berkeley County's men's mental health. So, and this is one of many things. They're doing a Thanksgiving thing this year with, you don't have to be invited. Just show up, and they're giving people food. If you're hungry and you got nowhere to go on Thanksgiving,
right?
These guys are looking out for people like
right.
that. So I'm really proud to be working with them and doing anything that they do because they're very communal, and I'm all about that.
I like that.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about communes too a little bit later in the show. And let's go ahead and pull up this is your graphic for, and let's talk about how people can follow you.
Yeah.
How people can message you, and this is your pretty much your entertainment site.
Yeah. This is new as of a month ago. Like I said, people are doing it around here. I just want to do it maybe a step up. A little bit better, a little classier, and make people happy to come out to these shows, from the bands to the fans to the bar owners, venues. Just doing it a little bit different, man. Just trying to make everybody happy and back to the communal thing.
Yeah.
You know?
And And one of the things like we do with the show for the whole history is clearly try to support our local music and arts.
Yeah, and I love you guys for that.
Thanks a lot. We've given a lot of energy. Darrick, let's go ahead and pull up the graphic that we have for you guys this next upcoming show. I love that. I thought that was real beautiful.
That is a badass looking flyer.
Yeah, man.
Michael got us that show down at
That's next weekend.
Yeah, Black Friday show. So you might get a discount. I highly doubt it. But yeah, we got that show down there, and like I said, it's on Black Friday. Excited to play another show in Baltimore because it's always a good turnout down there.
Right,
and
right.
Metal scene's pretty good down there. I used to be in a band down there called Offensive, and prior to that, I was in a band with Michael Maverick in Dakota called Unchained.
Unchained.
Yeah, the good old days.
How did you guys meet, if you don't mind me asking?
Band Mix.
Do tell.
Yeah, the website Band Mix. I'm still on it. Barely get on there, but on there as a vocalist, rhythm guitar player. I can play harmonica, a little bit of keyboard, a little bit of everything. Some of it I'm better at than others. I had vocal lessons with Steve Whiteman, and they.
Oh, cool!
Yeah, gotta love Steve. He's a very good singer.
Yeah, that's Kicks for people.
Yeah, Kicks and Funny Money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And prior to them being Kicks, they were known as the Shoes.
Right.
Local legends, really.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Steve's a hell of a guy. But let's get back to the Dakota and Michael Maverick thing. They Dakota messaged me and was like, "Hey, I see you're a singer. Here's my number. Text me. Let's figure this out. Come in for an audition." I went in for an audition. Was in that band for about a year, and then they started wanting to move towards a different direction that didn't really fit my vocal style because I was kind of a glam rock thrash metal vocalist. And so I'm trying to remember because like 5 or 6 years ago. Then let's see. Yeah, they went and did their thing. They did a couple more shows as Unchained, and by that time I had gotten into the band Offensive and was singing for them. And then they changed their name to Cannon Hill.
Oh, I know Cannon Hill.
Yeah,
okay.
that's a road right out there.
Now they're Paradise Ablaze, right? Paradise Ablaze. Members on Mars.
I saw them
so
last night.
there's more to the story than that, but
Okay.
that Paradise Ablaze comes in towards the end of Cannon Hill because I was kind of in the background the whole entire time because half of the first Cannon Hill album's actually old Unchained songs.
I gotcha.
Like Black Magic, freaking great song. Love that song. Kind of a difficult song to sing if it's not in a drop tune like Whole Step Down, but it's a fun song to sing.
I gotcha. Okay, Jay, let's go back to you. You were playing with Joe Poist, right? That was the, how do you say it, the whatevs?
Whatevs, yeah,
whatevs.
yeah.
Let's talk about your history with music, and I am very curious about this. How do you start playing? And, let's talk about some of the first bands that you played out publicly with.
Oh, wow. You're talking about in New York. So
your history. Share your history.
Yeah. I'm
with
born
the
and raised
audience.
in upstate New York, just outside of the city.
Okay.
A couple counties, Newburgh. If anybody's heard of that, they're calling it the sixth borough now. So I'm from there up, and I'm born and raised in music. My parents used to party with Twisted Sister.
Oh, cool.
Holy shit.
In New York before they wore makeup. So my father's best friend, Mark Boomhauer, in Poughkeepsie, New York, owned a pizzeria with an alcohol license. So when they would shut shows down in New York City, they go up to Boomhauer's bar, close the door, turn off the lights, and party all night long. And my dad just happened to be a facilitator of party favors, and that kept him in the limelight with all the cool kids. You see what I'm saying? And now I'm born and raised in a bar with rock stars. So this is what you get out of Jay now. You raised me in this, and now you get this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I moved back down here in 2003. Met Joe Poist a couple, 3 years ago. We spent 2 years on whatevs. We were getting ready to stroke an album, and Joe Poist has a couple things that are keeping us from doing that. So I went and started a few more bands. First time I was on stage, 9 years old, I did Epic by Faith No More with a full backing band, me and my
Great
brother.
song.
Oh, yeah, it's not
yeah,
easy.
yeah.
Vocally, we're talking about vocals.
I can sing it.
Yeah. Oh, you. I haven't done it in a while. I can too. I would sing the melodic parts. My brother would do the rap parts because he's a rapper. He's also got an album. He's local. He's a teacher in Inwood. We should probably get him on next.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyhow, keeps everything clean so he can sell to his students. Gym teacher in Inwood.
Cool.
Yeah, Mike Mott, if anybody wanted to know. So I've been in music my whole life. It's in my DNA per se. I don't have a choice. I was taught guitar 9 to 11 years old. I'm a rhythm section guy now, and I love to yell and sing like Darrick over here. I love to use my voice. And so yeah, man. Back to the communal thing. If you're doing good, I'll promote you, even if I don't know you, just for the pure love of music. It's in me.
Hey.
So it is what it is, right?
Chaos Effect would be up for playing some shows with you.
We're gonna talk after this. We're gonna swap some info, I'm sure. But
I'll go on to Darrick. Do you want to play the clip of the song that you wanted to share?
Yeah,
And then I'm coming back to. I'll come back to you, Jay.
I'm only going to play a couple bars of it.
Yeah, just a little bit,
teaser.
and give context. Tell everyone what you're sharing and what this is.
Okay, so I don't even know if Michael Maverick wants me to share this, but
Fuck him. I'm just kidding.
no, I'm only going to play a couple notes of it. It's our next song that's going to be released, and I'm not sharing the name because this is public, because y'all are going to have to fucking wait till it gets on Spotify, motherfuckers. Oh, let's go back to the beginning. Fuck. Technical difficulties. That's all you're getting.
what a teaser! What a teaser!
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yep, that is all you're getting.
All right.
I've heard it. It's rough and tough, and if you guys don't catch that, you're messing up.
All right,
Yeah, it's
before we
badass.
start getting into our topics, let's do one good final round on how people can follow you guys.
Yes.
Hit what you have coming up soon one more time.
All right.
I'll go Jay and then right over to
Darrick.
Derek.
Excellent. So yeah, we got SPK as Friday the 13th at Tilty's out on Moeller. I'm also setting up a January 18th punk show, really big stack lineup. That'll also be at Tilty's on January 18th. And then the low-key Serpent Brotherhood. They have the hangar. We're going to set up a bunch of shows throughout into the summer. If you're looking for me, go to whatevs and then spell it backwards on Facebook. It's not easy to find. You'll see my mug. And then through that, you can find the SPK page, which I'm only promoting and putting up live footage I took with my phone this year at all the shows I've been to. So you'll see a lot of cool bands that are kind of come back through. And say what's up, man. Say hi. I'm not hard to find.
And support your local scene. That's,
Absolutely.
That's what both you guys. So come out,
Absolutely.
support your local shows.
Absolutely.
Tilties, we were out there for the Slice Girls.
Slice Girls
you
were just
know,
there, yep.
We plugged Tilties in our last episode
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah.
Slice Girls.
Yep.
We promote things at Bad Habits,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you know,
Don't forget
anything in
Panorama.
Martin and Panorama.
Yeah,
that
we're at
was really
Panorama now.
nice.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, you made it out. That was
Nick
a good
and I
time.
saw one of the Rock the Panhandles out there. I was sad to see it closed.
Yeah.
I'm happy to see it's
Regenerated.
open.
Yeah,
Yeah,
regenerated
you know,
again.
I look forward to what they do in the spring.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. We're going to put a stage out back.
Yeah.
I'm going to get ahead of the ball here. We're building an outdoor stage for her come spring.
there was a little pavilion there that was outdoor
yes.
stage.
We're going to have some kick-ass times out there this year.
Yes.
So everybody be patient, bear with me, and get
Yeah.
ready for some kick-ass shows coming.
Spring will be right around the corner.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Right around the corner. Derek.
All right, I lost my track. All that brake clean from work.
Michael Maverick. Nail the next show you guys have coming.
Michael Maverick and the Chaos Effect down at Moore's Burgers. And I believe it's Towson area, to be honest with you. I know it's Baltimore, Towson area. Mm-hmm. Looks like a badass venue. You can find us on Facebook. Yes. I believe we have an Instagram. I know we have TikTok. We're working on getting a YouTube. All kinds of... pretty much you poke our name in, it'll come up. Yeah, and we have a website, too. Yeah. If I remember right, that's Michael Maverick and the Chaos Effect.
We love Michael, and we look forward to having him back. So I thought it would be a lot of fun to have you on too. All right, gentlemen, we'll do a little bit of a summary at the end. But look, we're gonna get into some heavy shit, right?
Heavy shit, man.
I gotta say, this one really blew my fucking mind. Right? I wasn't expecting to come across what I did. All I was thinking was I wanted to do an episode on Manson, right? Because it's sensationalism.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about.
So I wasn't. Yeah, I love Marilyn Manson.
Beautiful pizza, the beautiful pizza.
I wasn't expecting to find this Tom O'Neill book. All right, let's go ahead and do our literary dedication. That's our next still image. And for me, this whole episode, the greatest takeaway of it was to see an expansion on the John Marks book published in 1979, The Search for the Manchurian Candidate. I read this book. It's a thin book, fairly dry. I found it in Washington, D.C. when I was in my early 20s. It was my first exposure to MK Ultra. I was a psychology student. So
what year was it published?
1979.
Okay, I'm going to go look.
He testifies in front of Congress in 1974. He's a whistleblower that brings to the public record the only known trail of MK Ultra. Okay. We'll talk about what happens to that. But John Marks is a fascinating person. The book is incredible. I thought it didn't have a lot, right? When I read it, I could tell, I'm like, this is missing a lot. Right, just scratching the surface. Yeah. So MK Ultra has been something for me that I've always been fascinated by. All right, so to open this conversation, because the book does talk about Charles Manson, the book is called, the Tom O'Neill book is called Charles Manson, the CIA and the Secret History of the 60s. It's published in 2019. I thought for fun we would take a look at the 1976 trailer. This is our first video of the episode. This is the Helter Skelter trailer from 1976.
From the crimes that horrified the world.
Oh my God, Darrick.
From the best-selling book that revealed every true and bloody detail. Now comes the motion picture that has already shocked 100 million Americans.
For the record, Sharon Tate was gorgeous.
A beautiful woman. For me, it's always Motley Crue.
Hey, I have that car.
Not that old Mopar.
Man, they don't make trailers like they used to.
Not like this.
This is the shit I grew up with.
I have one of those cars like what they had in the beginning there.
Charles Manson, the father,
Looks
his
like him.
family, and their legacy of Helter Skelter.
There's a Starsky and Hutch episode that's based on the Manson
Now,
murders.
Lorimar Productions brings to full life Helter Skelter, the #1 bestseller, the true story of the Charles Manson murders.
I just kept stabbing her to stop.
These girls were dedicated.
I just wanted them to stop.
If you don't stop, I'll have you removed. I've got a little system.
This whole court's out of order.
Call the next witness.
Do you think I'm kidding?
Not now.
Powers Booth. I
Sharon
love
Tate,
me some Powers Booth.
JC, Abigail Folger, Wojciech Frykowski.
Old Charlie Manson acts like the
Stephen
meth heads
Parent.
in the
Nino
backwoods.
LaBianca, Rosemary LaBianca are not here with us now in this courtroom. But from their graves, they cry out for justice.
You have just judged yourself.
The world had never before witnessed
That looked
anything
familiar.
like the Manson family. And God help us all if there's anything like it ever again.
You say they're just a few? Well, there are many, many more. And they're running in the streets. They're all running in the same direction. And they're running right at you.
Helter Skelter, the true story, the whole story.
The true story, the whole story. We're about to challenge that wide open. Yes, we are. So when I say Charles Manson, when I first approached you guys about coming on the show, what was the first thought that ran through your mind?
Well,
like,
I think I seen LSD first, and I
okay,
immediately
okay.
perked up. I got past the CIA part, and immediately, it made my day. So now I'm really excited about the Manson thing.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about the guy,
Yeah,
a little
me too.
bit.
Me too.
I'm kind of a fan.
Yeah.
His philosophy's a little fucked up, but the dude could write a song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Darrick?
So my thoughts on it were, what's the subject? Because when you messaged me, it was like 5 a.m. I'm like, what's the subject?
LSD.
And you told me Charles Manson. I was like, okay, that's something that won't get me in trouble because I have a big mouth.
Right.
I pretty much what I know is he was kind of a decent guy in the beginning. I know that's a controversial statement, and then he kind of went off the deep end after the Beatles' White Album. And I know that if I remember correctly, he was born in Ohio, went to Kentucky, and then lived in Charleston, West Virginia for a bit. I fact checked myself on that before I came in here. And after the Beatles' White Album, it just kind of, the whole Helter Skelter race war thing happened. I know that much about it, and it just spiraled out of control, and he just went insane.
For me, like my sister had given me this book in the 80s, right? I picked up a copy yesterday over at Wonder Books and Video to get
Might
ready
be your
for
original copy.
I with the book, I went through a period where I enjoyed, when I was in college, I enjoyed reading true crime books because it was a distraction to my academic studies. It was like fucking candy or whatever. But I remember I read the book and then I watched the film, and I do remember was an art student that I incorporated some of the Manson stuff into this. I painted pig and blood that looked like blood, and I did the whole swastika thing. And let's go ahead and take a look at our next graphics. I think we have one of Manson, an arrest shot of him. He wasn't a bad looking fellow when he was young. And let's go on to the next image for me.
Grand theft. Look at him.
Hey, he stole a lot of cars.
Yeah, that was his big thing. That's
great.
Okay, this is my buddy Andy DeGore. Let's go ahead and go to the next one.
Maybe GTA is based off him.
There we go. That's my
lifestyle.
friend Andy DeGore. He is probably one of the most punk rock motherfuckers I've ever met. He has Satan's Sideshow, which is his whole thing, but he has his own private printing company. Makes T-shirts, incredible collectibles. He's in Baltimore now. I got to meet him in the 1990s when I was a film student in Baltimore. A buddy of mine took me to meet him. And he had just gotten back from California. He had went out to see the Tate House, the Sharon Tate House, because they were going to knock it all down. It was, they're going to tear it down and rebuild. He went out to the Spahn Movie Ranch, and when
Not much of it left.
No.
yeah, no. And this I was in film school, 93 to 95, but he brought back this rain grate, a metal grate that Abigail Folger had actually died on. Like that when, he knew, like he pulled that. And, he brought that home. He went and he had pictures done on the Spahn Movie Ranch where he knew Manson had been. And then I mentioned to you, I actually worked with a nurse, right? I worked at Frederick Memorial Hospital, and I worked with this nurse who, when she was 15 years old, she ran away, and Manson and the family members picked her up in the black van. If you've ever seen any documentary about them, they talk about the
palled
black
around
van,
in that. Yeah.
this black van.
Yeah.
And she hung out with them for 2 weeks leading up to the murders. And she said they creeped her out so bad that eventually, like in the middle of the night, she just packed her bag.
Smart girl.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, I'm going to kind of retract on my decent statement because the idea of what he was doing, like the commune thing, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
man.
okay. You know, share and share alike, you know, help each other out. That's fine. But the way so that's what I meant by he was an okay-ish person with that part, but the rest of it, the abuse and all that, that's the shitty part about him.
He came off the rails. That was it. He started out, I think, with good intentions, and I believe his psychosis may have just taken over and threw him off the rails.
That's all them drugs that he did.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we're going to pick up with the whole drug thing, and we're going to see just who supplied Charlie Manson with his drugs. There's a clip I want to share with you guys and with the audience. This is from the History Channel. This one's called America's War on Drugs. But I do want to, before we get into this video clip, going back to John Marks and the Manchurian Candidate, it's his work that actually helped to expose, and this is why History Channel is actually able to put this together. So let's go ahead and watch this clip. About 3 minutes.
Two American spies have just arrived at Sandoz Laboratories, one of the world's leading pharmaceutical factories. The mission: corner the market on the world's supply of a powerful new psychoactive drug.
The CIA was scared stiff the KGB was going to get all this LSD and come over and start dosing people. So we bought every drop of LSD in existence at that point.
The CIA has just authorized the purchase of 10 kilograms of pure LSD-25, enough to dose more than half the population of the United States.
My God.
They gave it to George White and let George start dosing.
They gave it to him.
George Hunter White.
Have some fun.
A larger-than-life undercover federal narcotics agent. Unbeknownst to his supervisors, White also works for the CIA.
I wish my grandfather
His job:
was still alive.
to conduct experiments
He
for an
could tell me all
operation
about this.
called
Listen to
Midnight
this.
Climax.
Midnight Climax.
George had a CIA safe house stocked with booze. George would sit behind this one-way
He just
mirror,
liked to party.
drinking martinis, sitting on a
Fucking
portable
perv.
toilet. If he had to take a leak, he didn't want to get up and leave.
White pays prostitutes to lure their clients to the agency's safe house.
He kind of
Hookers
sounds like a
would bring
cuck.
these suckers back to the apartment
Entrapment.
and dose them with pure LSD-25.
Pure LSD.
Man.
In the mind.
This is lysergic acid diethylamide, better known as acid. The powerful drug was first synthesized in 1938 in Switzerland. With a dose of mere micrograms, the mind becomes confused. Perception is distorted. Personal identity is called into question. The results can be euphoric bliss or deadly panic.
I love the graphics in this
White
one.
takes meticulous notes and files his reports to his CIA handlers.
So that was how LSD was introduced to this country.
Operation Midnight Climax is part of a larger
it's gonna be
top-secret
redacted.
CIA program called MK Ultra. The goal: learn how to control and even reprogram people's minds. The CIA believes LSD might hold the key. Over the next 10 years, the agency doses a cross-section of the American public. Everyone from unwitting housewives to soldiers to even criminals like gangster Whitey Bulger is tested.
You know, what the CIA really dreamed of was sort of like a drug you could give to
You can go ahead and
someone,
bring that
get them
down.
to commit all sorts.
So, the first pass that we'll make on the LSD, right, and these experiments, I think we've got to put, and I love that I used this clip or found this clip with Whitey Bulger, right?
Yeah, how about that?
I knew about this, right? I think they make reference to it in the Black Mass film with Johnny Depp, right? I knew that he was part of these LSD experiments, and he always claimed that's what had made him so violent. And of course, in the Tom O'Neill book, they go into how Manson is also in the same federal prisons that all of these LSD experiments are being done in the 50s.
So in Woodburn, New York, I know a former, well, he's passed away now, former CO, John Evans. I grew up with his son. We're really close. He walked past Manson a few times because it's a Supermax, and it's right in Woodburn, New York. I could take you right up there. He told me some things when I was a child that frightened me. I really don't want to repeat what he witnessed. But he got to, grace his presence.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's just a little insight that I have ever since I was a child. I've heard about, stories of, and it was that close to home. I mean, literally right up the road, close to home.
Right.
Scary stuff. Yeah, scary stuff.
Darrick, were you familiar with MK Ultra before we were talking about the show? Had you heard of MK Ultra?
I had heard of it. It was, I want to say I heard about it with the JFK stuff a little bit. I touched into that, lovely JFK right there. And I think Marvel may have used it a little bit with like Captain America.
Share your theory on that, or your take on it, please.
The whole thing with Captain America and how they like dosed him up and made him, like jacked and shit, and then the whole thing with the Winter Soldier, Bucky Barnes, and they reprogrammed his brain and made him think he was a Russian and all that stuff. I want to say they touched into that. I mean, they may not have called it MK Ultra, but it was basically the
mind control,
the same basic shit. Like they say, X amount of words. I remember in the Avengers, the Winter Soldier, or Captain America, Winter Soldier, whatever. They say some words to Bucky after Steve Rogers, Captain America, gets his head cleared, gets Bucky's head cleared, and then the Russian guy says whatever words to Bucky, and then he goes off the rails again and turns into a psychopath again because he's programmed.
Too much acid. It'll do that to you.
If I remember right, that's what my take on when the whole MK Ultra thing with how they used it in Marvel.
Right.
Hey, I want to refer a book, and I'm probably going to misquote on this. I read it in the Bing when I was in the Clink not too long ago. I took a little vacation at Conn College. It's called Music as a Weapon, and it's all about MK Ultra. It goes down from Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Manson, Brian Jones. It goes through the whole list. So if anybody's really interested in this topic and want to go even deeper than I think we're going to go today, that one book will give you an insight on everything that we're talking about right here and right now.
Good old Charlie Watson.
That's a perfect perfect segue into our next video clip, because I picked this one specifically because of having musicians on the show, right? So this is what's called the Summer of Love, 1967's notorious Summer of Love. I think it's something that is in the collective consciousness of all fans of rock and roll. And, they've all heard of the Summer of Love.
Don't be confused with the summer, 2 years later with the Son of Sam as well.
That's Summer of Sam.
Yeah, exactly. So don't get confused, everybody. He's talking a different year, 67 on
69. Summer of Love,
69.
San Francisco. Son of Sam, which I read an incredible book on by I believe the reporter or the writer's name was Maury Terry. That I could go on.
That's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, we could do
save
Son
some
of
of
Sam.
that.
We could do Son of Sam. All right, let's take a little clip of this Summer of Love, 1967.
Today on the Daily Dose, the Summer of Love. Egged on by the Beat Generation poets and novelists of the 1950s,
and you're good.
A group that flourished in the North Beach community of San Francisco, the Summer of Love hippie movement sprang to life after the Human Be-In held in Golden Gate Park on January 14th, 1967, when acid guru Timothy Leary coined the phrase, "Turn on, tune in, and drop out." By the summer of 1967,
that's Allen Ginsberg. I met Allen Ginsberg.
Migrated from around the country to the Haight-Ashbury district of San Francisco, vibing on hippie music, psychedelic drugs, anti-war sentiment, and an overwhelming spirit of free love. After Les Paul invented the electric guitar, the baby boom generation of the 1960s gravitated toward amplified rock and roll music, which was in direct conflict with the gentle swing-era dance tunes of their parents' generation. Flower children embraced a heavy mistrust
All the beautiful
of the
women
government
back then.
Yeah,
and the
man.
capitalistic
Whoa.
ways of their parents, forming non-consumerist communal groups like
Yeah, I
the
see a
Diggers,
67 Polara
who
now.
established a free store
Man, you got an
and
eye
free
for these
medical
things.
clinic. While
Free medical
psychedelic
clinic.
drug groups like
Remember the
King
clinic.
Crazy and the Merry Pranksters through
It's a great
acid
idea.
tests intended to unvalve the minds
not
of the once
contaminated.
staid, largely suburban, middle-class youth. In the spring of 1967, the Council for the Summer of Love was created by the communal groups The Family Dog, The Diggers, The Straight Theater, and the hippie newspaper The San Francisco
That's
Oracle,
about it. Is that
who
three?
sought to alleviate some of the problems anticipated from the influx of hippies expected to descend on Haight-Ashbury as the summer bore down. The council lent support to the Diggers Free Clinic before organizing housing, food, sanitation, and links to local churches and social groups.
Don, have you
When
ever heard
spring
of the
break
Beatles
came
I'm gonna
dentist?
go ahead and bring it down.
thousands
Have you ever
of
heard of the
high school
Beatles
and college
dentist?
students-
The story of?
Do share.
So I believe it was John and Paul were taken to a dentist office in London, and they were administered without knowing and given acid, and then walked and held their hands for a few hours to make sure they didn't kill themselves.
Right.
But this is not uncommon with
Right.
rock stars to be fed from MK Ultra specifically, and the list goes on.
I think that there's a future episode where we explore the CIA's involvement in the birth of rock and roll.
Okay.
In episode 3, I did one on the CIA and Jackson Pollock. Of all fucking things, the CIA is involved in advancement of modern art in America.
Wow.
And I knew very much that their tentacles stretched into the early days of rock and roll.
Absolutely.
That means
Why
they're
that
involved with
thing is...
hip-hop.
They're involved with
That's
all
a whole
of
nother
it.
episode.
They're involved. They're involved with all of it. How familiar with the Summer of Love were you?
Not a whole lot.
I've romanticized it over the years. I got to know some great hippies that own this commune in Jefferson County, and I had a friend that had went to the Woodstock and stuff like that.
It's not the nudist colony, is it?
So no. That's in Paw Paw. I forget.
Yeah,
the
that's
name.
over near my neck of the woods.
But Dr. Patch Adams, his original commune was in Jefferson County. It was called the Rocks. But I was fortunate enough to know a bunch of these old hippies that they were from that whole generation. All right, let's go ahead. This is when we start getting into the heart of the conspiracy theory. Let's go ahead. This is our first Joe Rogan clip. There's an amazing Rogan, unfortunately, I know nowadays people are just fools when it comes to, I won't listen to him, I won't listen to that one. You can find Tom O'Neill on multiple different podcasts. If Joe Rogan ain't your thing, please
Factor.
don't. I love Rogan.
Yeah,
Don't
Rogan's
run
on Fear
around.
He's not a bad comedian.
Yeah, he's not. He's a funny
not
guy.
bad, you know.
He's a funny guy. All right, let's play this clip.
Messages, send them, across dangerous areas where they were.
He's talking about MK Ultra, what we just saw on the History Channel
and then
piece.
have them wiped from their memory in case they were captured. They had all kinds of objectives. So Roger Smith was supervising Manson when he became he was able to do exactly what the MK Ultra program had been trying to create and do for, at that point, about 15, 17 years. When it was all exposed in the 70s, and there were these hearings, first the Rockefeller Commission hearings and the church hearings, and then finally Senators Ted Kennedy and Daniel Inouye held hearings. The CIA admitted that they had done this, but no one would say exactly what they did. All the records had been destroyed when the two people who ran it, Richard Helms, who had become the director of the CIA in the 60s, and Dr. Sidney Gottlieb, who was kind of the mad scientist who had supervised they had safe houses in San Francisco, New York, Los Angeles, where they would experiment on people that were lured into these apartments and houses that were either look like brothels or hippie communes or whatever.
Sex workers. They hit on sex workers.
Yeah.
The people who were working at the Haight-Ashbury Free Medical Clinic that was run by another Smith, which makes it a little confusing, but Dr. David Smith, who founded it, he had given an office to a scientist named Jolly West, Louis J. West, who was, when the hearings occurred in the 70s, identified as a top MK Ultra researcher. He was an academic, come out of the military, had been at the University of Oklahoma, and then UCLA, running the psychiatric divisions. He denied ever being involved in MK Ultra. And this was one of the moments, I think it was 2001, when, things really kind of shook the course of my reporting, was I learned that West had been at the same place that Manson was in the Haight in the summer that Manson became exactly what the CIA was trying to create. And I knew, actually, I'd interviewed West about 7 years before for a story I did about celebrity stalkers, the people who were obsessed with stars and then only to kill them or try to kill them. And he was an expert in violence, hypnotism, brainwashing, and he was the chair of the psychiatry department at UCLA at that point.
Man.
He was dead when his name came up in the Manson story. And there wasn't a lot of, I guess there was a lot of Google then, or a little bit, but when I did a little research, I found out that there had been these allegations that he'd been involved in MK Ultra. He always denied it. He was never prosecuted, never even investigated. He went to his grave threatening to sue anybody that said he would have anything to do with this kind of a program. Again, through another long story, but I got access to his files, which had been left at UCLA, and they had never been processed when I called. And when I made the request, it took them 2 or 3 months to process the papers. I went through them through the whole summer looking for a needle in a haystack. And it was intuition, gut. I just thought there might be something there. And sure enough, I eventually found it. It was correspondence between Jolly West and Sidney Gottlieb, the doctor that ran MK Ultra, beginning in 1953, about conducting experiments on people without their knowledge to get them to have amnesia of the acts after they were programmed, and everything that he had been accused of and denied, he did. Not only did he do it, he created the blueprint for the whole program with Gottlieb. The fact that all these kind of interesting research programs merged at the Haight, at the clinic, and then Manson came out of it with the power to do exactly what the MK Ultra had been trying to create for up to that point, I thought was worth investigating further, and that's why I kept going and going and going.
They did a lot of.
I love his shit-eating grin.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He knows more than he wants to spill out even there. You know?
And that is
he admits that in that podcast.
You're just like, I don't even know where to begin with. All right, bring up the first still that we got associated with this clip. I want everyone to see Roger Smith. This is Roger Smith. This is Charles Manson's parole officer, who is also involved in the clinic that they're referring to, the free clinic. So not only he's working on his PhD at the time in criminology. He's a criminologist. So not only is this guy a parole officer, and he's got he's involved in this clinic. There's this crazy stories with him and Manson. One, he lets Manson go to Mexico, right? This is before the...
What?
Right, yeah, like...
That's bizarre.
Yeah, you're fresh out of the federal penitentiary, and I'm letting you go. Yeah.
Go over. Have a good time.
And then at one point, he fosters Charles Manson's son.
Wow.
Now, how many parole officers?
No. That ain't happening.
Yeah, directly connected to the CIA.
I want to know if Manson's kid's still alive.
I do believe the son. He has one.
Did he change his name? I mean, I'm sure there's ridicule that comes with that, you know?
I'm not positive on the name, but I do know, I believe he had a son, and I think the son is still alive. And I know a lot of the people associated with the Manson cult live pretty much very private lives. You don't want that attention. Let's take a look at our next still, Nick. This is Sidney Gottlieb, also referred. This is the head psychiatrist of the MK Ultra program. This guy here, this is him testifying in 1977. for the Senate Select Committee on U.S. Intelligence. This is the Seymour Hersh that helped to break these stories. Now, in episode 7, right, the book is called Chaos, right? The Charles Manson book is called Chaos. And in episode 7, with Yvonne Jenkins, we got into Operation Chaos, which is a CIA-backed program, which in that episode is used to destroy the civil rights movement. It's behind them killing Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and several of the Black Panthers.
There's a lot of layers to this.
Layers.
Yeah.
My boss was telling me about some of that at work, how Martin Luther King was involved with MK Ultra or something, and there's like prostitutes and all kinds of crazies. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well.
let's bring up our last still image. This guy, right? This guy. This is Jolly West, and he's the one. He's the and this is Patty Hearst. Him testifying to do with something with Patty Hearst.
Wow.
There's a really dark chapter in Tom O'Neill's book Chaos where he talks about the early days of MK Ultra and this airman who goes and murders this little girl, and they believe that he was an early experiment gone wrong, right? The Jolly West is the head psychiatrist at, I think it was Lackland Air Force Base. This guy is getting experimental treatment for migraines, but then, and has no memory.
Almost the actual Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
Wow.
And speaking of that, have you guys seen either of the films?
The latest version, which is what?
Denzel Washington.
Yeah, which is late 80s, early 90s or something.
Something.
I do remember.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I had seen the black and white one.
Oh, the original.
Yeah, it's got who is that, Nick? The famous Italian actor, the singer from Godfather. I can't remember his name.
I know.
Famous Italian.
We're all stuck looking at
Anyway, it'll come to us at the Frank Sinatra, for God's sake. God's sake!
Oh, Blue Eyes.
Oh yeah, it stars Frank Sinatra. And
Married with Children. Love and marriage, love and marriage.
In this show, we find conspiracies hidden in plain sight, right? Mm-hmm. In the original film, Manchurian Candidate with Frank Sinatra, there's supposed to be Korean War vets that have been brainwashed. They believe that they've been brainwashed, or they've been brainwashed by the Koreans. And they're trying to kill a president or whatever. But in this guy's interpretation of it, it's like they were telling the truth about what happened in Korea, and we're trying to brainwash them away from the truth. Imagine that.
Man, the layers.
I kind of vaguely remember my grandfather, may he rest in peace, saying something about that, because he was in the Korean War and then ended up working for the Pentagon in telecommunications, and he invented the internet, or helped invent it rather. But that's a whole nother story. So, motherfuckers, Al Gore did not invent the internet.
That's funny. Let's go ahead and take a look at our next clip. And this is continuing with this theme of Jalon West, right? The West guy. Play the Ruby clip. This is about Jack Ruby and the same psychiatrist that's treating Manson at the clinic.
After Ruby was convicted of shooting and killing Oswald in the spring of '64, before he was going to testify to the Warren Commission, he had never testified at his trial about why he killed Oswald. His defense argument was that he had epilepsy, and he had an epileptic fit and shot him and was amnesic of the shooting.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So
and that fits right into the narrative like a key.
Well, this gets better. So West inserts himself.
Pull that microphone out towards your face.
Oh, sorry.
It's all right.
So
you're getting to this.
Yeah, I move. So West inserts himself into the case, gets a sign through his connections to Ruby's new lawyer, Hubert Winston Smith, who's a whole other kettle of fish. But anyway, goes to the Dallas County Jail in, I think it was April of '64, to examine Ruby in preparation for not the Warren Commission testimony, which he was giving in a couple of months, but for his next trial, because he had gotten an appeal for a psychiatric review. And West, who had told Sidney Gottlieb in these early letters from the 50s that part of his experiments were inducing insanity in a person without their awareness.
Ouch.
West goes to examine Ruby, emerges from the county jail, and there's press waiting for him. And he announces that within the preceding 48 hours, Ruby had a psychotic break that was irrevocable. He couldn't return to sanity. He had audio and visual hallucinations during the exam. He said Ruby hid under a table because he thought there were people in the room trying to kill him. Told West that he could hear children's screams outside his jail cell, as Jewish children, as they were boiled alive. And West said he's completely insane. That was the day. I mean, there was no evidence of Ruby being mentally ill.
None. He was fine.
To West's exam.
He sees the new doc and he's crazy as fuck.
Jesus, man.
My mother-in-law has done acid, and she's told me a story about riding a gargoyle.
Oh, I've seen some things. I met your God on acid. I talked to your God on acid. It was something. I've eaten a 10 strip before. I don't know if anybody can keep up.
God?
Yeah, I met your God.
I'm not religious.
Yeah, me neither. That's why I say it. I throw it out there because I've met all your gods, and they're inside of all of you.
I'll share this.
I am my own God.
I'll share this with, I know that my mother had, she was from California. I was conceived in California.
Nice.
She left California, San Francisco, LA area in '66, right before the Summer of Love. But she would tell us stories about when, LSD was legal, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was it was legal.
They didn't know to make it illegal yet.
She would go to a coffee shop and you could just get it dropped on ice, or on sugar cubes.
The best
Put it
acid
in your coffee.
I've ever purchased and consumed was from the Rainbow family, who follow the Grateful Dead, who were actually given the recipe from Larry because he helped them, carry on and spread the love. Yeah, New Jersey. Yeah, they got something really good going there. You eat a piece of a gel tab. I was in euphoria. I was waving at cops in a snowstorm out my front door, laughing at them, and they're eyeballing me, and tapestries moving. Oh, I could tell you some stories, man. I've
never done it.
Oh, you're missing out.
I don't want to do it.
It was the Fifth Amendment, right? I'll take Fifth.
Plead the Fifth.
Let's take a look at, we've got couple of more clips I want to share with you guys and with the audience, and then we'll have a fun little summary with everything.
Sure.
One of the fascinating things for me, I hold up the book, right? This is the Helter Skelter book. It's the longest, it is the most popular, most published, most consumed true crime book of all time, right? Wow. It has been, I thought it was fairly dry when I read it. It's written by a prosecutor. So all my life, I've thought this guy, Vincent Bugliosi, who wrote the book, I've always thought of him as this straight-laced, ultra conservative. I love society. Society is right.
Gung ho.
Right.
Yeah, gung ho about that. His convictions.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. To where he was writing some book to supporting the JFK magic bullet thing. But I just thought he was just another tool for the state.
Yeah.
I knew that he had made a lot of money off of the book and became famous because of the Charles Manson story. But I had not ever heard anything that indicted him until I got introduced to this Tom O'Neill, right? So to hear your prosecutor get indicted for, all right, so let's take a look at that.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
What's going on here?
Yeah, because, let's take a look. This is Vincent Bugliosi. This is in his heyday during the Charles Manson hearing. We're going to watch about a minute and a half of this historical clip.
Well, this was a definition of Helter Skelter that Charlie gave. Now, if you look at this White album, it's a Beatles album. There are many other songs. One of them is called Sexy Sadie. Sadie Glutz, also known as Susan Atkins, whatever you want to call her. She thought that the Beatles named this song after her. There's also a song called Piggies. There's also a song...
What is it in the Helter Skelter song?
nothing
9.
particularly in that song right there except the definition that Manson gave of it. There's another song in that same album called Blackbirds, talking about blackbirds fixing their wings and rising up. Charles Manson said the blackbird meant the black man. To ignite Helter Skelter, to start the black-white revolution, Manson envisioned that white people would turn against the black man if they thought the black man had committed these 7 murders, and ultimately there would be a civil war between blacks and whites out on the street. Manson told his followers that this would be a bloodbath in the streets of every American city. Manson foresaw that the black man would win this war. But later on, he said the black man, because of inexperience, would simply not be able to handle the reins of power. So we would have to look around at those white people who had survived, who had escaped from Helter Skelter.
Looked like he hung out in the hillbilly,
the
hillbilly hills of West Virginia a little too
Right,
much.
yeah.
This was the motive, Helter Skelter.
Well, I've probably spent between 300 and 400 hours interviewing former members of Manson's family, a few of them who are still members of Manson's family, and I came to this conclusion that Helter Skelter.
All right, that's him giving his official version. And again, I think the most brilliant thing that Tom O'Neill does in the podcast and in the book is he challenges his narrative. He punches holes all through it. But we're going to pick up this. We're going to watch about 3 minutes of this, and this is just absolute. This is about the same motherfucker.
Violation of that, but they said he can't, then we'll tell everything he doesn't want to tell. He lied under oath in deposition, so did his wife about the stalking.
Punishable.
So in 1973, Vince had an affair with a woman named Virginia Cardwell. Virginia Cardwell was Catholic. She got pregnant. She told Vince that she was pregnant with his child, and Vince said she had to get an abortion. And she said, I can't get an abortion. I'm a Catholic. She was a single mother. He said he would set it up. He had a doctor. It was still illegal then. And he gave her the money to pay the doctor. And then he called her, and she said she had gotten the abortion. Everything was fine. Then he called the doctor. Violating HIPAA rules, the doctor said, actually, I've never heard from this woman. I didn't give her the procedure. So Vince went to her house and beat the hell out of her. And I've got all those depositions too.
Yeah, it's our government.
He just
Let's go piss on Vince's grave.
Story to the police because she reported it. He dragged her across the floor by the hair, sat in her and punched her again in the face.
What a man.
Told her she had to get an abortion. She miscarried after that episode. She went to the Santa Monica police as soon as he left and reported it. And nobody would have known about it, but a reporter saw it on the police wire service or whatever. So the next day it was on the front page of all the LA papers that Vince Bugliosi had been accused of battery of a woman who said that he wanted her to have an abortion and she wouldn't. So Vince went to the police, told them she was lying. She was a client that he had had one phone consultation with, never met her face to face. And she was trying to embarrass him because he wanted her to pay him $200 or $300. He defamed her like he did the milkman. He made up a story. And worse this time, he told that to the police. This was in their investigation of the battery. He lied to the police.
What a douche.
That it had not happened. But here's what happened. The next day, after the newspapers reported it, and Vince said it was a lie, and he told the police that, Vince went back to her apartment with his secretary and a typewriter, and he held her hostage. I know this sounds crazy. It's in the book at the end.
Hey, you want to go shit on his grave with me?
I'll go, yeah.
3 or 4 hours, begging her and then bullying her, and he might have hit her then too, I can't remember, to go to the police and say that she had made the whole story up.
Wow.
His secretary was there, because once he got her to agree to do it, she wrote up, backdated the bill for the money, and had Virginia sign it.
Oh my God.
So Virginia finally agreed to go to the police. He said, look, you're going to be charged with filing a false report, which is a felony.
You can bring it on down. Yeah,
Yeah, perjury.
Yeah, it doesn't get no... and this is just...
Wow.
It's just one. It's the harshest one, the abortion one.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, he tells this really fucked up story where Bugliosi is chasing the milkman. He tells several. It's insane.
It is.
It was insane.
Stranger than fiction. You know what I mean? Sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. And then we're getting a lot of that here with peeling this onion back. It's frightening.
I ain't gonna lie, and it's kind of controversial. The shaved head chicks that were in the Helter Skelter thing, they look a lot like the 4B chicks. I mean, I don't mean that with any disrespect, but it is kind of
It's a free speech, though.
Yeah, it's kind of culty, but some girls can pull it off. I mean, some chicks look good with shaved heads.
This story and these stories are the whole reason I've always feared the judicial system. I'm 58, almost 60. I've never been in trouble. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I don't want, but I know how fucked up people are.
On the good side.
Right.
Yeah.
The good side is not good.
No.
No. So it was real fascinating, to see this book, to see it challenge such a long-held narrative, and to really see him able to stitch together all these early days of the MK Ultra, and to actually see that connected to Manson, and now I don't believe in this that Manson was their machine, but I believe this is a Dr. Frankenstein and their monster, right? That it went wrong. They've got them all dosed up on all these fucking drugs or whatever. It's like you've created this weapon, and he's now doing whatever he wants.
Walking, talking, and free and loose. If you look at some of the footage of Marilyn Manson,
Marilyn Manson?
I mean,
Charles
I'm
Manson.
sorry, man. You guys talking about that crap artist earlier.
Hey, he ain't that bad.
Yeah, he's
I
pretty
agree.
damn bad.
Okay.
Anyhow, my point is, if you look at the interviews with Manson, the way he talks and speaks until he gets caught and after the murders, and you can see how deranged his psychosis goes off the deep end. But he's a normal, not horrible, like you said earlier.
He wasn't horrible. He had a good idea that just was kind of
right. And but if you look at that just in reference, you can see the change in a human being and how just gnarly LSD can really eat your brain up.
Right.
Apparently.
Right.
You know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah. Not apparently. I think we know that.
Yeah, well, I've done plenty.
I think we've all had
you know.
some friends that have not survived so well with the
they
drugs.
go on the trip and they don't come back, which there's a guy in Waynesboro, PA, that I remember when I worked up there. He would always do the same walk every day, and he would talk about what the hell what they call Route 11 up there.
Pike. Is it Williamsport Pike?
No.
Mogdensville Pike or something?
No. Mary something. I can't remember. He would say that he would see her bleeding or whatever up at the Lowe's up in Waynesboro. I'm like, what the?
Yeah, if you've never actually ingested LSD, then it's kind of hard to wrap your brain around where your mind goes with the drug.
Right.
Because it steers you. You don't steer it.
Also, I think when we're talking about like MK Ultra, it's not just the LSD. I think that there's
a multitude,
other things
a
that they're
multitude of
doing to
agents.
shape and manipulate.
Here's a crazy theory for you. The CIA with the whole JFK thing and MK Ultra, if I'm not 100% certain on this, but if I remember correctly, JFK was quoted saying that he was going to destroy the CIA and scatter it into the wind or something to that effect.
And George Bush, senior.
Yeah.
He was the head of the CIA
at the time.
Yeah.
Well, it all ties back into JFK's death.
And after, that guy right there said that, he was dead
shortly after.
Thereafter.
And of course, there's definitely aspects with Lee Harvey Oswald that fit right into the whole MK Ultra.
Yeah.
There was a quote, I remember a quote from when I was younger from Manson, I thought was, and this might have even been on the back of the record, I can't remember. It said, when I was in prison, my body was locked up, but my mind was free. And when I came out on the street, I see everyone's got their bodies free, but their minds are locked up. And that one hit me pretty heavy. Like I've always,
it holds water, I think.
Yeah,
you know?
me too. That's why, with these conversations, like we were talking about earlier, I'm looking to have esoteric, conversations, strange conversations for that exact reason. I want to know that my mind isn't locked up, that I'm willing to explore taboos, things that I'm not supposed to.
Absolutely.
But that's pretty cool that you knew that quote too.
Absolutely.
So that brings
powerful
us
stuff.
That brings us to our closing. We're gonna take a listen to this is an original Charles Manson song. This is him singing the song. This has always been one of my favorite Charles Manson recordings. Garbage Dump.
Dump, oh garbage dump. Why are you called a garbage dump?
Sing along.
Perfect closing for the whole episode too. That show's a fucking garbage dump. And Dick says stop hollering.
Sounds like Bob Dylan.
Yeah. The world with my garbage dump. You could feed the world with my garbage dump. You could feed the world with my garbage dump. That sums
it up in one big lump.
It's very simple chord structure.
Less is more sometimes.
And you think sometimes you're starving. Get on off that trip, my friend. Just get them cans and start carving. Oh, garbage dump, my garbage dump. Why are
Be
you
badass if somebody turned this into a punk song.
I wanted to do it as a punk song. I was trying to get my friends to do it as
really tough.
as a punk song.
Why are you called my garbage dump?
Hell yeah.
There's a market basket and a AMP.
AMP, do you remember? Yeah, AMP.
I don't even care who wins the war. I'll be in them cans behind my favorite store. Garbage dump, oh garbage dump. Why are you called a garbage dump? Garbage dump, oh garbage dump. That sums it up in one big lump.
All right.
Punk, I could hear being going, garbage dump,
Yeah,
garbage dump.
that's what I was thinking too. Just like a crazy speed. Yeah, but I've always thought it was an interesting song. I've known several dumpster divers. That's very much part of counterculture. People trying to live outside of society, right?
Or just being hungry.
Hungry?
Yeah, come on, man. What are you doing in there?
I just
I'm hungry,
looked it
bro.
up.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned something about Starsky and Hutch at the beginning. Starsky and Hutch, great TV show from the 70s.
Yeah. Badass cars.
The striped tomato, the 76 Torino. There's an episode called Bloodbath. And the whole episode is centered around the Manson murders and the Manson family. And obviously they changed names and stuff, that they think the guy's name is Simone or something. I don't remember because it's been about a year since I've seen it. But that episode, you got to check that episode out. It's eerie.
There's one last note I wanted to give on that, and then I'll ask you guys to plug anything you want, say anything you want before we close the show. One of my favorite, I've made this clear on the other episodes. I'm a filmmaker, right? I made a film, one film, Trailer Trash, a film journal, did real well, 2007, 8, 9.
Nice.
It's on YouTube for free.
Okay.
I put my heart and soul into it, but I love cinema. It's always been, my thing. One of my favorite filmmakers from my generation, his name is Jim Van Beber. He won this big film festival. I think it's like 1995. It was called the New York Underground Film and Video Festival. It was put together by the director that did Joker, right, with Joaquin Phoenix. His name is Todd Phillips. He's one of the few underground filmmakers that went on to have a big mainstream career.
Okay.
Unfortunately, that last Joker, I've heard it
people
bombed.
walked out. It was like a musical.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, go figure. It was a money grab. You know?
I was sad to hear that because, I mean, trust me, Todd Phillips is the shit. He's a great filmmaker, got some really good underground stuff.
But he shit the bed with that one, didn't he?
But this Jim Van Beber won that, I believe it's 95, with this incredible underground film. It's only 20 minutes long, called My Sweet Satan. It's loosely based on the Ricky Casso story, a guy that committed a murder in the name of Satan. He thought he was a Satanist. But Van Beber's Van Beber's film is just spectacular. But he did a Manson film, right? So he did this whole full-length feature Manson thing. He shot this film in fucking Ohio. And you read these crazy stories like everyone's like sick because he wants them to be naked because they're, they're supposed to be in California.
I need this shot. Get your clothes off.
Oh, yeah. So, look, I want to thank you guys for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
I definitely want you guys to please both share it.
Absolutely.
Ask Maverick to share it.
Oh, he will.
One last plug. Anything you guys want anyone following?
If I can go first, I got Curb Stomp playing Bad Habits December 4th with Scrotch Mouth. We got a band coming in from Massachusetts called the Mighty Suicide Squirrels. And High Horse Cavalry, of course. These guys are,
they're future guests.
Justice for Peanuts.
Let them know they're.
That's pretty good.
Both of them are future. I was thinking William and Cavlin.
Come on. These guys are a riot, man. You got to have them on. They're good fun. They're good fun.
Great guys.
Yeah, good dudes. What else can I tell you about?
Hey,
get out there and follow SPK. Follow Whatev's page.
Facebook.
On Facebook. Sorry, I have a personal account on Instagram if you want to find my happy ass. I'll talk up more music on there. Let me stop wasting my breath and time. Thanks you guys so much for having me. And it's not just to plug my work, but just to be involved with this. You guys do a hell of a job.
Thank you.
It's a good job. You guys are always doing a kick-ass job from what I've seen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next show, like I said, is Mooresburger, down in Towson area, if I recall correctly. I know it's down in Baltimore area. That's just genericize it. It's in fucking Baltimore.
Figure it out. You got the internet, don't you?
Yeah.
Age information. Figure it out.
And with Michael Maverick and the Chaos Effect, I'll give you an idea of our sound if y'all want to check us out. Kind of like a cross between Stone Sour with a little bit of Seether, and we throw some classic rock in there and some modern stuff with our sound. It's you can have a big titty goth chick, or you can have or you can have your cute country girl, and we like taking that and slamming it into one giant conglomerate, and just making something that everybody can listen to, everybody can like. And we love supporting the local music scene, and for the ones that are worth supporting, because some of them aren't, but that's my opinion, and I hope nobody wants to slaughter me for that, because we all know how some people are, but check us out. We got 2 songs on Spotify. All the streaming services. It's even been played on Bob Rocks. Both of them.
Yeah.
Everything But My Name, and I don't remember the other one at the moment, but I know how to play it. Gotta love that when
That's
that
what
happens.
counts. That's what
I'm
counts.
gonna look it up real quick just because I can't remember my own band's song. That's horrible.
Been there.
Let's see. Go to my liked songs here. Either way. What I Want and Everything But My Name. There we go. That's the 2 of them.
Yeah, we'll check them out.
Edit that out, will ya? The where I forgot it. And great songs. Like I said, all the streaming services, and keep it old school. You know, that's about all I can really say about that.
That's good. Thank you guys both. And program note: we will be off for the holidays. Our next recording date is December the 8th, and we're hoping to do the JFK files. So, yeah.
You want to get me back on here? Bring up the alien stuff.
I'll get,
Because my grandfather
last one was aliens.
My grandfather worked for the Pentagon, and he had higher top secret clearance than his boss, and he could never tell me stuff directly. But I remember seeing or hearing on Joe Rogan's podcast something about the Black Files. They do exist.
They do exist.
Yes, they do.
Go ahead and bring us out, Nick.